We are joined from Cairo by the researcher in Israeli affairs and the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs member, Dr. Ahmad Anwar. Thank you for being here with us on Q News. So what do you make of this interview with former Israeli Defense Minister Gallant on Israeli television?
After great news for you and for all the viewers, it's clear that there's a clear disagreement from the military side and the political side in Israel. Actually, from different levels in the political vision inside Israel, trying to implement immoral visions, and actually that cannot be implemented. Things that refused even from the inside internal people of Israel. So I think Gallant, as his credits increase, and in the same approach we have seen a resignation and other opposition from the chief of staff and from the former chief of staff President Carter. This approach that adopted by Netanyahu, the government of destruction, it's very clear that's a failed approach. It didn't achieve the goals of the war or even the security for Israel.
And it does seem that Netanyahu and Gallant are fighting like rats in a sack almost. Why do you think Gallant attacked Netanyahu at this time and accused him of failing those hostages in Gaza?
Everyone is looking about the second phase of ceasefire agreement and the exchange of hostages, as Netanyahu is trying to hinder the second phase, putting different obstacles. It's a major battle. But what Netanyahu did after 7th of October, I think it's very difficult to repeat the same scenario right now. After 7th of October, there is somehow an outrage, a lot of lies were overspreaded, but right now, repeating these crimes, the barbaric attitude will not be justified, and I don't think the public opinion, the global public opinion, will be silent. Especially Netanyahu right now is a war criminal, is disrespecting the whole international community, disrespecting the rules of ICC or ICJ. In this historic scene, where we have seen the whole displaced people returning back to their houses to the north, returning back to the rebels at the north. This actually is a clear evidence that these people want to live at their territories.
And one of the other things that was brought up was the pager operation in Lebanon. What is your take on the conflicting statements between Gallant and Netanyahu?
Of course, there are many obstacles Netanyahu have posed regarding a ceasefire agreement, the fragile ceasefire agreement that what could be revealed by a different military expert in that regard, because Netanyahu and his current defense minister Israel doesn't have the needed military experience that enable them to achieve their goals. As they have failed to achieve these goals before. In addition to all of that, these goals are contradictory with the major goal for them, for the Israeli public opinion, which is releasing of the hostages. The releasing of the hostages is contradictory with any kind of obstacles that Netanyahu will try to impose in the second phase of ceasefire agreement, especially that the resistance, the Lebanese resistance and the Palestinian resistance, was committed to a ceasefire agreement, and we have seen this web of exchange of hostages, while the Israeli side has always been putting these obstacles, as he has made some delay in releasing of the Palestinian prisoners, when he has been manipulating with the names of the Palestinian prisoners, as one of the prisoners were released with another or similar name, not with the ones they needed to be released. So I believe all of these obstacles will be filled, and at the end of the day, Netanyahu will be forced to respect the ceasefire agreement, as he did today by withdrawal of the Nord Stream corridor. He has some hopes in order to establish some of the installments, but all of this was failed.
Gallant also talked about the targeting of Hassan Nasrallah And he said it was approved by him, and Netanyahu attempted to delay the operation. What do you make of that? And also, can you believe that these kind of disagreements were going on at such a crucial time?
It's very clear that Gallant know a lot, especially as according to his post as responsible for the Israeli army in this crucial period. So somehow he is trying to attack Netanyahu, reveal these facts to make Netanyahu impressed in the global community and the Israeli community by revealing these lies, by revealing these facts. Especially that the one who is revealing these facts is a far-right extremist with a military background, and also he was a member in the government. So anything will be revealed by him will have a great respect from the Israeli public opinion, as many of the Israeli public opinion are describing Netanyahu as the general or Miron who is repeating the previous crisis of Holocaust against the Israeli people, and he actually the one who is doing that actually by doing these attacks and genocide against the Palestinian people. The majority of the Israeli prisoners were killed. This was one of the pressure cards that Gallant is trying to use, especially after he revealed that reality that the resistance wanted to release the Israeli hostages.
And what do you think the reasons why Netanyahu was attempting to interfere in the military's decisions at this time?
Netanyahu is a corrupted man and has his own personal interests, which is more important than the Israeli interest. He has his interest to stay in his post, keeping the government. This for him is important than maintaining the hostages or releasing the hostages or turning them alive. When he said that I will go into Rafah and I will destroy everything. All of these statements was actually posing great risk on the hostages and their lives. And was revealed actually in the recent days. Most of the hostages were alive. I like what Netanyahu has stated, and many of the Israeli hostages were killed by the Israeli fires. So these actually clashes and disagreement had a great impact on the Israeli families. It indicates that Netanyahu's government only care about his personal interest. Everyone is seeing the absence of Yair, Netanyahu's oldest son, who has stayed for the U.S. as the U.S. during the war. Even he is one of the soldiers, and Sarah's. His Netanyahu's wife stayed at the U.S. without any justification for more than 70 days. I'm speaking about she stayed about 75 days in the U.S. during the wartime. In the consequences, after Netanyahu made this surgical surgery, so there are many question marks are raised about what is the plans of Netanyahu's family. Are they planning to have this long period in order to have a escape inside the U.S.? The Israeli people are raising a lot of question marks regarding Netanyahu and his family and his medical record and his ability to manage the coming period. What are the priorities Netanyahu has considered also in this period?
And speaking of the United States, Gallant also confirmed in the interview that Netanyahu rejected the same ceasefire agreement in July, the one that he's now agreed to. The Biden administration has said the same thing. Why do you think that Netanyahu has only agreed to the deal now? Was he waiting for Trump to be in the White House?
Yes, he's somehow trying to give these hopes with goals that will not be implemented. The ability of the Israeli army was revealed. They were unable to deter any of the attacks coming from Yemen the inability of the Israeli army was very clear. Their inability to release any of the hostages also, all of that has an impact. This plan that is implemented right now, that Netanyahu accepted it now, is yes, it's proposed 27 May. It's actually Egyptian plan, and at the end of the day, he approved this plan. So the question here, who will be responsible for this whole period? Who will be responsible for those who lost their lives from the Israeli prisoners, also from the Israeli army at that period? Because at the end of the day, Netanyahu approved this deal, the same one that was proposed in 27 May. So we're speaking about the first phase of 42 days that was entitled in the agreement. The same agreement was in past May. And also those who were released from leadership of the resistance to have like a long sentence to death inside the prison, like 300 years inside prison. These kind of sentences, all of them were cancelled. At the end of the day, Netanyahu approved this deal and allowing the return of the displaced people to their houses at the north. All of these strategic losses forced Netanyahu to withdraw from all his previous dreams and goals. Especially that the U.S. at the end of the day supporting Israel but not supporting Netanyahu. They are trying to support Israel with all they can, but at the day, if they got that Netanyahu is somehow not coming in the favor of Israel, they could sacrifice him easily.
And Netanyahu, of course, accused Gallant in statements of trying to rush some decisions, but he was the one that prevented him from doing so. How do you view these statements? Is it just two men who are both facing war crimes allegations and could be in The Hague at some point, just trying to blame each other?
Of course, they are preparing themselves with the coming accountability after their failure to expect 7th of October and after their failure to deal with the 7th of October events and after their fail to release the hostage, whatever through military or whatever through diplomatic solution, are somehow giving this statement to mitigate any kind of accountability inside and outside. But these clashes and disagreement reveal a lot of factors, and I believe that when the time passes, this disagreement will grow. In order to be consistent, maybe it will be painful for both of them.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And if Netanyahu and Gallant do end up in The Hague at the same time, it will be indeed interesting. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. That was the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs member, Dr. Ahmad Anwar. Thank you very much for being here with us.